What if everything you thought you knew about finding true purity or maybe real inner peace? What if that was, well, fundamentally challenged by some ancient wisdom?
Hmm.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into the Māgandiyasutta. It's this ancient dialogue, and honestly, it asks us to really rethink our whole approach to truth, to understanding even what it means to be, properly informed.
Exactly. And our source material for this deep dive, it's just a fascinating dialogue. It comes from a collection of ancient verses, and it's just brimming with philosophical and spiritual insights.
Right.
It's basically a conversation that unpacks these really fundamental questions. Things like perception, attachment, and, well, ultimately liberation.
Okay.
So our mission here is to explore how this ancient text suggests a path to inner peace that might be, well, radically different from what you'd normally expect.
Radically different sounds about right.
And why, maybe surprisingly, clinging to any kind of view, any fixed idea, can actually get in the way of clarity, can prevent inner freedom.
Okay, so let's unpack this. And it starts with something, well, pretty startling. A declaration right at the beginning that might make you scratch your head a bit.
Hmm.
The main speaker in the dialogue basically expresses this profound disinterest in physical beauty. Even when personified desires, like actual figures representing desire, are presented to him.
Yeah, it's quite a scene.
And there's this incredibly striking line where the body is described, really frankly, as being full of urine and feces.
Unflinching, really.
Totally. And he goes so far as to say he wouldn't even want to touch such a thing with his foot.
And that stark rejection, well, it immediately sets up the core tension, doesn't it? You have Māgandiya, who's listening in this conversation.
Right.
And he sees this disinterest in things that, many kings supposedly desired. And he's naturally intrigued, probably a bit baffled.
Yeah, you would be.
So he pushes. He asks, okay, well, what kind of views do you hold then? What about your practices, your morality, your observances? How do you understand existence,
He's basically saying, if you reject that, then what's your alternative? What's your profound understanding?
Precisely. What's left?
So if it's not worldly pleasures, what is the path? And this is where we get that truly groundbreaking insight.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about finding the right belief system. It's about actively letting go of the need to cling to any belief.
Actively letting go. That's key.
Yeah. The speaker says he doesn't hold fixed views. He wouldn't even say, this is what I say. Instead, he cultivates something called asasanti.
Inner peace.
Inner peace, yeah. But achieved specifically by not clinging to views. It's a deliberate, active non-clinging, not just indifference.
And what's fascinating is Māgandiya's immediate follow-up. He basically asks, okay, if you have to abandon all these preconceived notions, these frameworks,
Right.
how do wise people even explain this inner peace? How do you talk about it?
Good question.
It really highlights how counterintuitive the teaching is. It's not about swapping one set of views for a better set. It's about abandoning the whole act of clinging to views. How do you even discuss a path that asks you to release the very concepts you use to understand paths?
It's a bit of a paradox. And this next part, well, this might really challenge some of our, conventional thinking about spirituality or self-improvement.
Go on.
The speaker makes this really powerful declaration. Purity, he says, is not achieved through views or learning or knowledge or morality or observances.
Okay, so not through all the usual suspects.
Exactly. But then, crucially, he adds, it's not achieved through their opposites either.
Ah,
Think about that for a moment. It just completely upends our usual assumptions, doesn't it?
it really does. That has such profound implications. It means abandoning reliance on, well, any fixed system or method to achieve purity.
Any system at all.
Yeah. It suggests true liberation comes from letting go of clinging to any specific path, even the ones that seem really good or virtuous.
Right. Even the good ones.
And this is precisely where Māgandiya gets confused. He calls it a mamuham eva damai, a foolish doctrine, basically.
Understandably, maybe.
Well, yeah. Because as he points out, many people genuinely believe that views, certain beliefs or understandings do lead to purity. That's the common idea.
So this is a radical departure.
Totally. It departs from a lot of spiritual or philosophical thinking that often seeks certainty, seeks something solid to hold on to in terms of beliefs.
So the speaker then clarifies Māgandiya's confusion. He doesn't just dismiss him.
No, he explains it. He says that Māgandiya's clinging to views, his reliance on them, has actually led him into delusion. Pamohomarga.
So it's the clinging itself causing the problem.
Yes. It's not that Māgandiya isn't smart. It's that his mind is so tangled up in its own fixed ideas, these views he's holding on to,
Right.
that he's simply unable to see clearly. Even the slightest perception isn't clear. And that's why he feels confused, momohato.
Okay, so that prompts a really interesting question for us, doesn't it? What does it mean to truly know something if it's not through views or, accumulated knowledge?
Exactly. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, it suggests that actively holding on to views, even if they're well-intentioned views, things you think are right, can actually obscure reality. It can cloud your perception. And importantly, it can even lead to conflict.
Because you're defending your view.
Right. The attachment to the view rather than the view itself becomes the source of the problem, the friction.
So if the path is about letting go of views, what does that kind of radical freedom actually look like in a person? How does someone like that operate?
Well, the dialogue gives us a pretty vivid portrait later on.
Okay.
It says that someone who's always thinking in terms of comparisons, equal, superior, inferior.
Which is most of us a lot of the time.
Right. That person will always find reasons to dispute, to argue. But for someone who is abhikampamano, unwavering in these comparisons, those thoughts just don't arise in the same way. And if you're not constantly framing things as this is true and that is false, then what basis do you have for an argument? What's there to fight about?
Wow. That's a truly radical level of inner freedom, isn't it?
It really is. Imagine a mind that's just free from its usual labels. Good, bad, superior, inferior.
The constant judging.
Exactly. That whole mental architecture of comparison and judgment just kind of dissolves. It's like switching off that internal scorekeeper that's always ranking everything.
And that must allow for a profound kind of quietness inside.
Profound quietude, yes. And this kind of person, they're described as a muni, a sage. They've abandoned attachments. They wander without a fixed home or identity. They avoid unnecessary familiarity or entanglement. They're free from sensual desires. And crucially, they just don't get drawn into quarrels with people.
And to really help us visualize that, the text gives us this beautiful, powerful analogy.
Yes, the lotus.
The lotus flower. It says, like a lotus, which grows in the water and mud but remains untouched by it.
Undefiled.
Undefiled, exactly. A peaceful, non-greedy sage is similarly undefiled by sensual desires in the world around them. It just paints such a clear picture of what this non-clinging state looks like.
It's a very potent image, present in the world, but not stained by it. And then, to sort of bring it all together, the dialogue offers this final clarifying perspective.
Okay.
It talks about the Vidago, someone who knows deeply, maybe like a knower of the Vedas or just profoundly wise. This person isn't arrogant because of their views or perceptions. They're not defined by their actions or their learning.
They're free from those definitions.
Right. And the final lines really nail it down. For someone free from perceptions, saniveritasa, there are no ganta, no fetters, no binding.
Or knots tying them down.
Exactly. And for someone liberated by wisdom, panyavimutasa, there are no moha, no delusions, no fundamental confusion.
What?
And here's the kicker. The so what? It's those who cling to perceptions and views. They are the ones who cause friction and conflict in the world.
So the clinging is the root.
The clinging is the root of their suffering, and often the suffering they inflict or cause around them.
So, okay, let's wrap this up. What does this all mean for you listening right now? This deep dive into the Māgandiyasutta, it really reveals a profound and I think quite liberating message. True peace, true purity, it might not be found where we usually look, not in acquiring more knowledge necessarily or adhering to stricter rules, or even, holding on to what we believe is true with this really tight grip.
Yeah, it's a challenge to that approach.
Instead, it suggests the path to inner peace lies in something much more radical. The act of letting go of fixed views, letting go of comparisons, letting go of even our most deeply held perceptions about things.
Which naturally raises a really important question for reflection, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In a world that is constantly pushing us, practically demanding that we form opinions and take sides on everything,
All the time.
what would it actually look like to approach situations, people, ideas, with a mind that doesn't immediately cling to views? A mind that doesn't instantly compare and rank, that seeks a deeper, undefiled kind of peace.
Like that lotus.
Exactly, like that lotus flower, untouched by the mud it grows in. Maybe consider just for yourself what assumptions or views you might be holding on to really tightly right now that perhaps, just perhaps, are preventing you from seeing something new or maybe experiencing a deeper, more authentic sense of peace.